Former President Barack Obama has weighed in on the controversy regarding Major League Baseball and the Georgia law. And Obama has praised Major League Baseball's decision to pull the All-Star game out of Georgia. Once again, somebody who could have done something to calm the country has thrown gasoline on it. Obama's not stupid. Great education, smart guy. He knows the Georgia law does not say that you can't give water to somebody standing in line. He knows that this law actually expanded the numbers of hours allotted for voting, not fewer. He knows that. But the Obama, who is a politician, knows that as long as liberals and blacks are stirred up about what they perceive to be racism, it helps them come election time. If Barack Obama were across the table from me, private conversation, and nobody would ever know the contents of the conversation, and I said to him, do you honestly believe that America today is guilty of systemic racism? And if he felt he could be honest and tell me the truth, he'd say no. And the reason I know that he'd say no is because Barack Obama is a world beater. He is an achiever. This is a man who in the 5th grade said he wanted to be president. This is a man who, according to his first book, chastised a guy named Ray, who was an Al Sharpton type, and he told him to stop playing the race card. This is a man who ran against Bobby Rush, the former Black Panther who's still a congressman from Chicago, because Obama thought that he was a race card incendiary and irresponsible. Obama learned that in order to make sure that Democrats consistently win, they've got to get 13% of the population, blacks, constantly believing that they're victims of systemic racism, and white liberals also will buy into the same old BS. What Obama could have said, a statesman would have said, I've read the Georgia law, and while certainly we ought to be concerned about the history of voter suppression in America, there's nothing in this law that does anything but expand voter opportunities. It does not prevent anybody from getting a drink of water while standing in a hot line. In fact, it likely reduces the lines in the first place. But he didn't. Just as Senator Obama, when interviewed on 60 Minutes by Steve Kroft, he was running and he was gaining on Hillary, but he wasn't the front runner yet. And Steve Kroft said, Senator, if you don't get the nomination, will it be because of racism? To which Senator Obama said, no. It will be because I've not outlined a vision that the American people can embrace. Man gets elected. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. If I had a son, he looked like Trayvon. There's a place called Ferguson. Invites Al Sharpton into the White House over 80 times. Embraces the Black Lives Matter movement. Once again, making things worse. His very success refutes the idea that America is still bedeviled by systemic racism. This is a man who could have and should have said the following after his good friend Henry Louis Skip Gates, professor from Harvard, was briefly arrested by the Cambridge police. You remember the incident. Gates was on vacation and had forgotten his door key, came back, and he and the cab driver pushed open his door so he can get into his house. Well, the neighbors saw this, didn't recognize Gates, calls 911. Officer shows up very politely, asks this man inside this house to come out, bring ID so I can know that you belong to the house. And Gates felt insulted and said, I'll come out if your mama tells me to come out, something like that. Ultimately, he came out, got briefly arrested while they sorted the thing out. What did Obama say? The Cambridge police acted stupidly. No, they did not. That cop did everything by the book did everything right. He was respectful. The person that did not do everything by the book, the person that did not do right, was Skip Gates. And that's the problem. And Obama could have and should have said, I've spoken to my friend Skip Gates. We had a long private conversation. I won't give you the details. But I did remind him that as a Harvard professor, he is by definition a role model. As a black Harvard professor, a lot of young black people are going to follow his lead. And a lot of problems occur in our country, President Obama could have said, because of a misunderstanding of what the police are doing, what their job is, versus what a lot of people think their job is. Maxine Waters the other day said the police believe it is their job to keep black people down, close quote. Well, no, that's not their job. Their job is to protect and serve. It's a difficult job, he could have said. Made more difficult by the fact that a lot of suspects and civilians simply do not comply, just as Professor Gates failed to comply. And I told him, this is wrong. This is sending the wrong signal. Of course, Obama didn't say that. He said the opposite. Do you think maybe, just maybe, had that been Obama's mantra, comply, you won't die, let's let any allegations get sorted out after the encounter while both the officer and the suspect are still alive? Had Obama said that, how many George Floyds could we have avoided? How many Eric Gardners could we have avoided? How many Tamir Rice could we have avoided? How many Freddie Grays could we have avoided? How many people would have followed Obama's lead and complied rather than to act confrontational? Dr. Fauci thinks all President Trump has to do is just tell his followers to take the vaccine, and they'll take it. Does that same logic apply to Barack Obama, one of the most admired men in America, and clearly the most admired black man in America? If Obama told people, particularly black people, when you have an encounter with the police, don't assume the officer's out to kill you. The studies do not support that at all. If anything, the studies show that the officers are more reluctant, more hesitant to pull the trigger on you than on a white suspect or a Hispanic suspect. Comply, you won't die. It doesn't mean that 100% of the time there will be no incident, but for crying out loud, it certainly means the likelihood of something going to DEFCON 1 is far less certain. Comply, you won't die. Suppose Obama had said that. But of course he didn't. Made things worse. President Trump, often accused of the big lie. There are two big lies here. That people standing in line can't get water, and that the amount of time for voting in Georgia has been restricted because of this law, when in fact it's been expanded. Barack Obama knows what I'm saying is true. He also knows that in order to get that power, to keep that power, you have to keep black people angry. Never mind how much it hurts them. Never mind how much it undermines the prospects and success for black people. Let's keep them angry, falsely believing that somebody's out to get them for votes and for power. Pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. I'm Larry Elder.